Tim, winter season coming in, how's it looking?
Yeah, funny you should say that. The year seems to be flying by, and looking over my shoulder, you can certainly see a hint of winter in the middle of May. But yeah, countdown's on to the Grand National Racing Festival in the first week in August.
You've got races in the meantime, though?
Yeah, quite a few race meetings. We've got races on the 19th of May, again on midweek meeting on the 7th of June, and a very good Saturday meeting on the 24th of June. And that allows us a 5-week gap to get everything ready, in particular to get the track back, so that it's at its best for those big premier meetings at the Grand National.
How do people qualify for that Grand National meeting?
Well, it's just the normal class system. The main races, of course, are the E-Star Winter Cup, which is a Group 3 race, so the better the horses perform, the higher the rating goes up. It's an open race, so when the entries come in, the field's selected from the highest rated down to 18 horses. Draw the line there, and it's just done on the rating that the horses have accumulated as they compete during the months leading up.
So you do have to qualify?
Yeah, you have to qualify in the sense that you have to perform well to race for the higher stakes. You know, at the Grand National meeting, there's, I think last year we ran 32 races, so there's a race for every type of horse, but of course the stake money goes up for the higher rated races. For instance, the maiden races will be $10,000 and the Group 3 E-Star Winter Cup will be $100,000. Similarly, the same thing applies to the jumping races, where the maiden jumps race will be $15,000, and the two big Grand National races, the Racecourse Hotel Grand National Steeplechase, for instance, is a $75,000 race. So you qualify, in the sense you qualify by performing well, although there will be a racing option for every type of horse over the meeting.
It must be very exciting for somebody who's new into the industry as an owner to have that sort of festival coming up.
Oh, absolutely, because that's when you can show off. And you know people like being here when they can take their mates to the races, take boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, and walk around saying, I've got my horse in on the big stage. It's anyone can get there. You don't have to have bought the best horse in the world. You can just have got a horse that develops and progresses, and you can come to the big meeting. There's good crowds. Your horse is performing in front of people, performing through the TV screens. So yeah, that excitement level certainly builds.
Syndication, is that a big thing for the gallopers?
Yeah, very much so, and probably more so over the last 10 or 15 years. It's evolved to make it affordable for people to race a horse. For instance, there's 18, 19, 20 people in a horse, so you're paying 5% of the costs. If you've got that sort of figure of people participating, makes it affordable, and people get that same thrill whether they own 5% of the horse or 100% of the horse. You'll hear people who've got 2.5% going, my horse is in on Saturday. That's where it builds up.
So how do people get involved with a syndicate?
In the main, it's through knowing a trainer who might put a group of people together, though there are some very, very good public syndication businesses out there, and you can track them down through a website. There's any number, there's 5 or 6 really, really good ones that promote actively. They're registered, so they have a code of conduct they have to adhere to, so people's rights and interests are protected, which is good. You have to have that. It's a good vote of confidence in the industry that those people do have to measure up to a set of criteria. But you just Google racehorse syndication, you'll come across the available ones.
There must be a big buzz to have a photograph of your horse on the office wall.
Yeah, well, I've got quite a few over there. Well, not quite a few. I've been lucky enough to win a few races, but those memories live with you. And I'd like to get one of the big ones. For instance, I'd love to get a Grand National or a Winter Cup photo on the wall one day.
So would your bank manager?
Yeah, so the bank manager, yeah. A great mate of mine says they've never put a pockets yet in that wooden overcoat, so you can't take it with you. You may as well enjoy it while you've got it here, and racing's one hell of a way to do that.
Why is it that New Zealand horses go to Australia and beat the living daylights out of them?
I just think it's another one of the strong arms of the New Zealand farming industry. New Zealand horses have historically always gone to Australia and won. You can go right back to Carbine, who was born, stabled across the road here at the Racecourse Hotel, trained by Dan O'Brien, who owned that pub at that time, way back in the 1800s. He was transferred to Australia after his 2-year-old career and ended up winning the Melbourne Cup. So they've been doing it forever. I think it's just the skill of the New Zealand horse farmers. There's a lot to be said about the New Zealand climate and the New Zealand soil structure that breeds good, strong bone, sound horses. And we've got some very, very good horse people. We've got just people who have a great skill at preparing racehorses and riding racehorses.
I guess also the yearling sales would open the door to a fair few going over and becoming Australian.
Yeah, well, they do, and of course, in a little bit, well, The breeding's a lot cross-pollinated nowadays because broodmares can be put on a plane, flown backwards and forwards, be mated with stallions in either country, and in some ways it's almost getting to be an Australasian breeding regime in that sense. But the horses that are born and reared here and are developed by our horse people certainly receive the benefits of those skills.
And it's becoming a big industry, isn't it, going over there and racing?
Always has been, Rob. It's I don't know if it's got any bigger or any smaller, but it's always been a very, very big industry. The yearling sales going back to the days when Dave Clarkson, a name that older viewers will remember, was a great auctioneer, the late great Peter Kelly. They auctioned some of the best horses in Australasia from the national sales at Trentham, and now, of course, latterly at Karaka through New Zealand Bloodstock. It's always been a big deal, always has been a big industry for New Zealand.
There's lovely stories about people who paid a couple of $100,000 and did okay, but there's those who paid $200,000 and did very well as well.
Well, there's even the better stories, the ones that paid $1,100 or $3,000 and developed the best and ended up with the best horse in the land. Or, there was a great story about the champion or the near champion Viandercross, who I think he was bought for $400 as a foal at foot, with his mother, and I think Bone Crusher was $1,100, and Rough Habit was a handful of dollars, and that keeps us in the game, because if you had to be the richest person and go to the yearling sales and buy the dearest lot, then we wouldn't all be in the game. But we all know that you can get that free course from anywhere, which makes the game, that's the beauty of the game and what keeps us all in it.